Hello, I'm Christopher O'Callaghan, and I'd be a grandnephew of the late General Liam Lynch, and Liam would have been an uncle of my mother, the late Bridget Lynch, and he was born in a little homestead in Barnagorha, County Limerick, outside the village of Anglesborough, and reared in a small farm. And he had 5 brothers and 1 sister, and I've just dim memories of my late grandfather, John Lynch, or Jack Lynch as I used to call him, but some call him John. And even though I was only 6 when he died, I remember the night he died well, and he was a big, strong man, great man to drink whiskey, and he would have been the oldest member of the family, he served in the Civil War as well with his famous brother Liam, and it's a piece of heritage and history that we've always been very proud of. My mother in particular took great pride in the history and the involvement at the time. There were very sad times during the Civil War, and it was my mother that stayed in the homestead, which was about 3 miles from Anglesborough, and my grandfather Jack, he farmed a small plot of ground there, and we have many historic mementos from the history with Liam, and then one thing that's very fond to my heart would be these glasses that he was wearing, when he was fatally wounded on the Knockmilldown Mountains. They were, I suppose, the style at the time, a very small pair, and he had actually one bad eye because the lens, I'd say, is about 3 times bigger, than the other one. And my mother cherished these all through her life, because we lived in a very small farm, and like a lot of rural people and urban, I suppose, at the time, money would have been very scarce, but she was certainly never tempted to £1 million wouldn't have bought these, and she actually passed them on to me a few weeks before she passed away, and she just said, don't ever leave them, only to keep them, and she'd know that I'd do the right thing when the time comes. Also, with a little memento here, his little watch now, the strap isn't the original, but now don't know the full history of it entirely, how he can buy the watch, but I think he may have got it from an uncle of his. But this up to a few years ago now, when you'd wind it up, to work for a few hours, but I think it seems to have got lazy in recent times. But again, it is a very, very nice memento, And as I was saying, Liam, also, I would have a printout of about 40 of his letters from the time of the Civil War, from 1917 until near the time of his execution in 1923. And most of these letters were in correspondence with his brother, Father Tom, who have a picture of here. All the letters are more or less Dear Tom. And Father Tom, he done his training here in the college in Thurles, and then he was appointed, he trained for the priesthood, and eventually he was appointed to Australia, where he became Dean of Bega, and he died actually at a young age of 54, and I remember going through Liam's letters, when it came to his appointment, and Liam was delighted that it was to Australia he was transferred, because he certainly didn't want to see him go to the old enemy, as he worded it, so that was his main kind of correspondence. And also, as a few nice mementos here as well. Liam, he served his time as his apprenticeship in a hardware, furniture and ironmonger establishments, and He originally started in P. O'Neill's Hardware Ironmonger in Mitchelstown. Then he moved to MJF Flavins in Mill Street, and then where he finished up would have been at Barry's in Fermoy until more important things took over. And I have here 3 work references from the time. One was 1913 from O'Neill's Hardware. He went to Flavins just for about 9 months, and he got a reference here in the 3rd of February 1914, and then he moved back again to O'Neill's in Mitchelstown. And it's a very nice, of course, a nice report that he was a good boy, and also a very sad, actually, memento here was a letter to Liam's mother on the 12th of the 4th, 1923, and basically it was telling her that she got instructions that it was now okay to remove the body of Liam for burial. So that's very sentimental and sad. And also Liam, he had an eye for the women as well, and thankfully he passed that down the line, and this was now, I just can't get my hands on the original today, but it's a photocopy of a little verse that was written by Liam's fiancée at the time, Bridie Keys, and it was dated the 14th of the 11th, 23, and it read, "The heights of great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but there while their companions slept were toiling upwards in the night." And then there's a little autograph there from his mother, Mary Lynch. Your memory dwells with the brave, the faithful and the few. You hold today a martyr's grave for being to Ireland true. Signed, Mary Lynch. So that's quite nice. And Liam's brother, as I say, my grandfather Jack, he was also deeply involved, and he spent time in Limerick prison and in Newbridge camp. And there's a lovely little autograph book of mainly lots of prisoners mainly from the Munster area, very interesting, County Clare. It seems to be mainly Munster. And the one thing that's that would draw your attention to was the lovely handwriting of most of these. And, it's absolutely beautiful. There was one particular sad part there, I think with Stephen Joyce, who had wrote 2 pages, and his sister, I think, on the night before his execution, and also that's just the Newbridge again. Now the prisoners would be more widespread, different parts of the country, and so another nice souvenir. Also, my grandfather, he was a man for a bit of carving, so that was a nice little piece of carving that he carved in memory of Liam, and it looks very nice. And
when did your grandfather carve that?
In 1923, or it would be around the time of the 1920, 21, 22, 23. He gave a lot of time in and out. So, and like this one, for instance, John Lynch, Limerick Jail, 1923. So that would be saying. And you have your Wolfhound and his cell block number 4. And the Harp, the Wolfhound, and the Shamrock. And this is the one that he carved, John Lynch, in Newbridge Camp, Kildare, 1923, and you're carving of the Shamrock and that. So that was quite.
And Liam was dead by this stage.
Yes. And 23. Yeah, it was around the time. They used to be in jail. They used to be released. But I actually think I think that he had to actually get permission to go to his funeral to be released for that. I think, to the.
Did your grandfather stay a Republican all his life?
Oh God, very, very Republican. As I say, he was a big, strong man, and he farmed. He was a good hard worker, He had 6 daughters. Unfortunately, 2 of them died very young, Hannah and Katty. They would be buried in alongside him in Brigown Cemetery in Mitchelstown. And he often got a slag, and he'd no son, you know. And yes, he was a very, very Republican mind, I'd say, up to the finish, you know. And he'd always wanting to make clear, because his youngest daughter, Elizabeth, was living in Manchester, but sadly John Lynch was never going to visit. He was never going to visit the old enemy, you know. He would have been a very proud Republican, and you know, it is just, you know, sad times, you know, really, because like, you're great men on both sides, you know, and you know, I appreciate, like, the treaty, you know, put brother against brother, and I appreciate the views on both sides, but obviously human nature being what human nature is, like, I would obviously go with my ancestors, you know, because it's nothing to be ashamed of, looking to live to be a free man in 32 counties, no compromise. And you know, he paid the ultimate price, but you know, for Liam Lynch, he was, I would be well sure that he was happy or die, didn't live in any other kind of an Ireland. And you know, I greatly respect him for that.
And you remember your grandfather?
Yeah, I remember him. I remember the night, even though I was only 6 when he died. He died in 1966, 6th of January 1966. I actually remember it like yesterday. Yes, I remember it very well. You know, I've been brought down the stairs in a stretcher, and that time the ambulance, they were a kind of a morbid, kind of a white van, being taken away to the hospital for the last time, you know. But yeah, I have good memories, even though I'm 6, but some people, you know, can stick in your mind. And I remember I was a bit of a rogue, I'd say, at the time, because we just called him the man. That was his kind of nickname, the man. Like, and he might look cross if you didn't know him, but I used to be asking him to leave me his money, you know. But I didn't find it yet anyway, you know. But you know, it is lovely to look back in the history, and you know.
And your late mother,
yes.
was she born when Liam was alive, or was?
No. She was no. To be nice, I would be thinking about 20. I'd say she was born in the early 30s. I'd be thinking. No. There was and Liam. He just one sister, and he'd actually he'd a brother that was Father Tom, and there was also another fine looking man there, Father Martin. I think he spent time in Westland Row in Dublin, I think, as teaching, and he finished up down in Kilrush in County Clare, and he's buried in Kilrush. Yeah, I think he died in the mid-60s as well, near enough around the same time as my grandfather. That was just Liam's mother. She died in 1937. Now, she lived a good age. She was 82, you know, like.
And where was she from? Was she Limerick or Cork?
Yeah, Limerick. I think she was, Mary Kelly would have been her maiden name. And to the best of my knowledge, she was an only child. That was, well, I just got him, that was John Lynch now, that was the grandfather. He was 82.
And did John's spirit and the love of Ireland pass on to all the girls?
I suppose it definitely. It did more so maybe my mother, and yes, a lot a lot of my cousins would have a great interest in my mother had a sister Mary, and she'd 7 daughters and a son, and most of them now would be they'd be probably better to talk about history than myself, you know what I mean. But we're very fond of our heritage. Now, you know, it will be coming up to the 100th anniversary of Liam Lynch now in the 10th of April 2023, and talks of a lot of things, but myself, you have various commemorations for Liam. You have Kilcrumper Cemetery in Fermoy, and yes, it's beautiful and that. But personally, me, and it's only me, the place I prefer is the Knockmilldown Mountains, where he lost his life and where he was fatally wounded, and that would be just me. I find it kind of sentimental, and you see, you get a lot of commemorations and that, but it's very important to have the right speakers, and I can't say I'd be over enthusiastic about every single commemoration or speaker that has been there down through the years, but that would be just myself, you know what I mean. We won't open up any thoughts, but you can overdo things as well, and because Liam was a very, very proud man, and like his final wishes were to be buried alongside his best friend Michael Fitzgerald in the Republican plot in Fermoy. He left that specific instruction, and I get very proud to look back on, because I've also I've a printout of all his letters from 1917 to 23. His original letters are in the National Library in Dublin, so I presume they can be checked through the archives or whatever, but some people have said down the years like that Liam Lynch, he was like a madman running loose in the mountains, but because basically when Liam was fatally wounded, you could say the Civil War practically finished in. But, I know, to know the real Liam Lynch, and for anyone that would be doubting, or what would I say, go read his letters through the archives, and they'll know that he was a deeply religious, good man, and, he was a good man that was just, he wanted to live a free man in his own country, 32 counties, and, I'm very proud of him, and I'm also, I'm open-minded enough to know that there was great men in the other side too, 100%. I have huge respect also for Michael Collins. It was just at the time that it was what it was.